Alright, what's up guys? Main man Sui here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always. And I thought it could be fun to record yet another tier list for Tekken 7. And I promised to the Lord in the heavens that this is the last time you'll hear me bitch and whine about these characters. Well, maybe we'll get a balance patch ahead of Tekken World Tour 2023, the next one. I think otherwise, you know, it's gonna be another one of these Zafina, Feng Wei, Julia everywhere, and maybe a couple of Akumas and Geeses. Because that's the meta now. Those characters are incredibly strong. But so I did want to do another one because if you look at the tier list I posted last, was it a year ago perhaps, it's very different compared to this one. I've learned a lot about the game and I've reevaluated a lot of characters, including my main. Usually I would put him around top 11, 12, 13, but I've completely reevaluated him, and I'm going to talk about all of them to a pretty large extent, so you can expect this to be around 3 to 4 hours would be my guess. I personally don't like tier lists when people say, well, Heihachi is here because he has Demon, Uppercut, and Electric. Oh, and then Negan, you know, I didn't really learn anything. And I think a big inspiration is Otstarva. I'm very into Dead by Daylight these days, and he makes like 6-hour videos where he talks about the level design and the killers and characters, and you could say that he's just filling the time, but he isn't. I'm learning things. He can talk about 6 hours and still make those hours be fruitful, and I hope I can do the same. But so know that my editor is going to help me out with chapters here. So if there's a specific character you want to hear about, you can simply click that chapter and hopefully I give you an adequate description of that character and its strength. And I also want to say that disclaimer, this is my opinion and my opinion alone. So in the end, it doesn't really mean anything. You hear my perspective, but if you disagree, I mean, go for it. And I'm pretty sure many of those top players are gonna feel, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. But to me, this tier list makes sense. So this is my opinion, and of course, I'm here to discuss my opinion. And something else you should note before I start is that this is an unbelievably well-balanced game. Outside of the top 10, in my opinion. The top 10 are ridiculous. But outside of that, you know, it doesn't really mean too much if a character is top 20, 30, 40, right? Because it's very, very balanced. And testament to this is seeing arguably a terrible character compared to the others winning a Tekken World Tour. Even Gigas has done well. Yonding has also done well with Lucky Chloe, and so has Kaiser. So you have to remember that while this might look dramatic, it's a very balanced game. And I think that serves as an intro and disclaimer, and I'm now going to get started. So there's going to be a lot of water breaks because my throat is going to kill after this. But so, at top 1, best character in the game, I have Akuma. This character is absolutely ridiculous. I almost feel like I don't need to get into why he's so busted. But so, first off, his damage is absolutely absurd. I don't know why he hits so hard, considering the tools he has at his disposal. Very interesting to note is that in his own game in Street Fighter, he also has absurd damage, but in that game, they reduce his HP gauge, right? So that's the trade-off. Okay, you have crazy damage, but you take a lot of damage as well. No such thing in Tekken. He has absurd damage, and he also has 175 HP, just like every other character. So immediately, it doesn't work. What else doesn't work? Well, he brings his 2D jump, where he jumps over a lot of even mid checks. He can even jump over certain highs. Completely game breaking. Why? Because Tekken characters don't have designated anti-airs. You can have a 2D jump in a game like Street Fighter because characters have anti-airs. No such thing in Tekken. Certain characters have good options. A lot of characters don't. The 2D jump alone, absurd. The damage is absurd. If he has meter, he can launch you from 10 frames, and this is from standing and crouching. Game breaking, I would say. His 50-50 completely inverts the risk-reward concept of Tekken. Like, oh, you want to go with an unseeable low that does damage. Well, the trade-off is that you're launch punishable. Mostly, this is how it works. When that character has a bar of meter, he has an unseeable low, again unseeable, that launches if it connects. And he can take you to the wall and it's about 100 damage, right? Unseeable low that launches. And it's not unsafe. No, it's +7 on block. It's basically the equivalent of a launching hell sweep that is +7 on block. Do you know how ridiculous this is to have in a game like Tekken? And what does he mix that up with? Well, he dashes into a while standing 2, which is a mid launcher, unseeable, so this is a 50-50. He can do both of these options from crouch. And that while standing 2 on guard is special cancelable. So even on block, you can't take your punish because it has a built-in mix-up. It's a bit like Devil Jin's up 4. Does he go up in the air and stay there in the fly stance? Or does he just go back? Except Akuma's has many more options because he has so many specials. His wall game is also completely broken. Thank God they patched. They changed the tech roll. But he still has absurd wall options. It's so broken to the point of you never want to fight that character with walls. You want to go to infinite stages. If he has meter, he has an invincible attack. It's impossible to beat it. And what's the startup frame? Frame number 1. Frame number 1, he goes invincible with EXDP. And he can, while you're doing strings, he can interrupt between the hits because it's a 1 frame startup. Absolutely broken. Yeah, and then on top of this, unfortunately, he has even good, like, fundamental basic Tekken tools. He has a down forward 1, which has a mix-up, down forward 1-1, down forward 1-2, mid-high options. He has a forward 3, which is an excellent mid-poke. You'll see great Akuma players use this well. He has one of the best power crushes in the game, in down forward 1+2, which serves as a backswing blow, power crush, only -14 on block, wall splats, knocks down. He has his focus attack power crush from Street Fighter, but you can hold, and you know what this does. If this connects, it's a death combo. Absolutely ridiculous. He has a super good low in down 4, which is a knockdown low, unseeable with really good reach. Tracks well. He can poke from far away. He can zone with a fireball. It's also pretty good, right? His standing 2, oh god, his his down 1-2 counter hit, 10 frame counter hit launchers. He has a down 2, which is safe special mid check, 12 frame startup that on hit launches. Honestly, it never ends with Akuma. It never ends. And again, his jump into fly kick, the 4 option. Blows you up. I hope I think I've covered the worst offenders, but it's a gigantic list of absurd stuff. Oh, and forward 4 is a high counter hit launcher. Very fast, safe, recovers quickly, keep out. Forward 4, homing. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous character. Absolutely ridiculous. So after him in second place, I have Geese Howard. So in my opinion, as you can see, the 2D characters still dominate. And this is where, when they released the latest balance patch and they heavily nerfed Geese, they removed sidestep 3 is no longer a counter hit launcher. From a parry, he can't get a standing 2. And his down for 2 is no longer a counter hit launcher. Instead, it has on hit when you wall crush properties. So he can't really do too much after that connects. This led a lot of people to say Geese is dead. Geese can no longer be played. I myself was never that drastic, but because I recognized his strength, obviously. But I was like, you know what? He's probably at the bottom of top 10. Like where I would put Paul, right? But the more I played him, the more I realized, no, he's still completely absurd. Even with all of these changes, he's still completely absurd. And why is that? Because he kills you from a standing 2. A 15 frame special mid with a built-in mix-up on block. He kills you. and he has very good movement. He has a very strong sidestep. So he just builds a bar of meter, and then if you whiff anything now, and again he has good movement, standing 2, and now easy combo. It does Kazuya perfect electric damage, and it's pretty much, you know, safe-ish on block, super easy to do. The following combo, wall to walls on any map, wall to wall, and then his absurd wall damage, wall pressure. I mean, it's almost guaranteed you lose the round when he hits that standing 2. And on top of that, he has a really strong neutral. He has a very strong jab, very strong down forward 1. He can special cancel from a dick jab or a normal jab. His parry is still absolutely ridiculous. Does a mid parry, gets a guaranteed back 3-2 into monstrous damage. The question is, why were we ever okay with the fact that he does a mid parry, but is a free frame startup with a gigantic parry window? Why did that ever guarantee a standing 2? And if he's in rage, he arguably has, I mean, one of the best comeback abilities in the game, or comeback potential. In that, you know, any launch he does, a standing 2 while he's in rage, it's like you're dead. Does Deadly Rave. It's the most damaging rage art in the game. And even when they removed sidestep free counter hit, why was that ever a counter hit launcher at -12? Why did that ever counter hit launch? With the busted stuff he does when he has meter, why was meterless Geese so powerful? You could play him without meter, and he was like one of the best in the game. But he still remains top 2. Sidestep free is still amazing. His neutral is still amazing. He still has great counter hit launchers. Forward 4, down 4, standing 4. And again, he just frankly does too much damage. The character does too much damage. So for it's a bit for many of the reasons I mentioned on Akuma. Geese doesn't have a 50-50, but the meter stuff is too strong. Meter pressure too strong. The frames are too good. Why do those characters have such strong fundamental basic tools when the meter stuff is so crazy? And it was obvious also, you know, seeing Geese at Tekken World Tour doing really well, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. So that's going to be it for Geese. And then we have Julia at top 3. Julia has one of the best neutrals in the game. In that is if she's standing in your face, or let's say standing a few meters away from you, she can completely lock you down. She has a move called Party Crasher, which is on elbow. So this is done by pressing forward 1. It's hard to come up with a better attack. If you do it properly, it comes out at 12 frames. Has insane reach, tracks to both sides, is -2 on block, and she can still add a 4 to that and do a counter hit launching high. That move alone is absolutely ridiculous. And she can mix that up with while running 1, which is a heavy plus high on guard, which if it connects gives you a guaranteed while running 2-1 for like 50 plus damage. If you try to crouch Julia, she has a 14 frame mid check where she slaps you, that if it connects on crouch, gives a guaranteed down, either forward 3 into while running 2-1, or easy option is down forward 3, 1+2, 50 to 55 damage from a 14 frame mid check that is safe on block. She has a pretty absurd power crush that wall bounces with a ton of reach, is super fast, is only -14 on block. She has some of the most devastating combos in the game. Best wall travel in the game, arguably. Can wall to wall on any map. Wall combo is completely absurd. She has crazy 50-50s. She has a crazy full crouch mix-up. She has a 10 frame 1-1-1, which is Twitch confirmable. You confirm they press and you counter hit, throw that shit. And if you stop at only 2 hits, you're safe. God, what else do I want to say about Julia? Oh, and her mad axis throw. Corso back forward 2. 10 frame startup when 2 break. She has a throw game. But no, a completely absurd character. Oh, and she has a really strong magic 4 that has a follow-up. Arguably the queen of potential follow-up attacks. It's like almost anything she does, she can follow it up with something. It's a bit like Bryan, where you never know when you can attack because everything has a follow-up, including her magic 4. Where if you press into that, she counter it, launches you with the follow-up. So absolutely insane character. And her forward 1+2. That's not a wall bounce anymore. I think they nerfed that. But there's a reason why you saw her everywhere at Tekken World Tour. She's incredibly strong. Right, and then we're on to Feng Wei, who saw some, I would say, minor nerfs in the latest balance patch. Remains unbelievably good. Feng Wei is insanely all-round. There's nothing he can't do. It's a bit like Jin almost. And there's no execution to anything, so he's very reliable. I don't know where to begin. Absurd 50-50s, absurd evasion, the best poking in the game. Like, if he's standing right next to you, no one has better frames, in my opinion. No one has better properties. Like frames, counter hits, hitboxes. His homing is really good. The problem Feng Wei used to have was that his combos were kind of shit. He had no wall travel and the damage was not impressive. It all changed when we gave him downward for free. So now he has insane combos as well. His launching punch parry is ridiculous. Again, with the evasion, gives him a lot of really good matchups. So, like, I mean, he single-handedly, as his popularity rose, he threw, Zafina as well, they threw Steve out of the meta, the competitive meta. Because as soon as these two became so popular, Steve was out the window. Because that character just loses to their evasiveness. And Feng Wei's punch parry against Steve is, it's beyond ridiculous. It's so dumb. Yeah, I think I'm almost going to stop there with Feng Wei. I've made so many videos on the character. I can actually recommend you if you want to dive into that character and the stupidity. I think I've made at least 2 videos where I explain why he's so dumb and I show the moves. But he's just perfect. I can't even come up with a weakness on Feng Wei. Oh, the weakness is his hop kick, which serves as his 15-frame punisher and launcher. This is important, by the way, having a 15-frame launcher. It's got bad range. But I think that's it. Oh, and he has the best lows in the game. Like, we talked about how ridiculous Akuma's down 3 is. But when it comes to having a kit of lows that all serve different purposes, it's Feng Wei. Best lows in the game. Leroy is also up there. But yeah, Feng Wei is he's a monster. An absolute monster. And I also want to stress again that with Tekken World Tour 2023, I'm hoping we see additional nerfs to Feng Wei, Zafina, and Julia. And Akuma and Geese. To be honest, most of the characters here deserve nerfs. Maybe except for Jin and Bryan. His hatchet needs to be nerfed. Okay, so the next character I'm going to talk about is Zafina. The most interesting thing about Zafina is that she's a lab character in the sense of like Lei and Xiaoyu, and that has a ton of very gimmicky bullshit where you need to spend a lot of time in practice mode to figure it out. She's very tricky, trick-based character, but she's a hybrid. This is the first ever trick-based character that Yoshi is a great example of a trick-based character as well. This is the first time ever in the history of this series you have this type of hybrid where a trick-based character that is mixed with a fundamental character like, you know, Kazumi style, where it's a fundamental Tekken approach with really good counter hits, movement, poking. So she's the best of two worlds. I mean, she has it all. She has the bullshit, she has the best movement in the game, backdash sidestep, combine that with an ultra strong down for 2 to whiff punish with. Combine that with a strong jab, down forward 1 with extensions, forward 4, which is a knockdown, homing, mid, safe, ultra strong attack. Forward 3, 4 frames, which is an axe kick. She has low pokes. She has down 3, which for some reason is a low where she doesn't have to be in a stance. She can do it from neutral. Ultra evasive, very fast, super good reach, counter hit launcher, and is only -13 on block. Why she has that, I just have no idea. And for standing mid counter hit, she has 1+2, which you will see Arslan use a lot, which is a very damaging counter hit launcher, where she can add multiple kicks to it. So you're unsure of where to press or to even try and interrupt her momentum. Her damage is really high. She has a great rage drive. Punishment is good. Yeah, what else to say about Zafina? I think that about covers it. But to me, just... another factor is that a lot of people... She's one of the least played characters in the game, and it factors into her strength how unfamiliar a lot of people are with the matchup. The biggest telltale when it comes to this is players of Yonding's caliber, who is like, what, top 5 right now in the world, eating her snake edge, and he's not even being counter hit. He's holding a guard and he doesn't react to it. 27 frame startup, just eats it in the neutral because he's unfamiliar with the animation, and it's a very tricky animation as well. Certainly plays into her strength, you know, how unfamiliar people are. And just unbelievably evasive, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. Oh, and the snake edge has a follow-up, thanks for reminding me. So next character I'm going to talk about is Jin. Jin has to be noted that he's unbelievably difficult to play. He's one of the absolute hardest. Jin players struggle a ton. They are bottom 2 when it comes to win-loss ratio in online Tekken. Only Yoshimitsu performs worse, so insanely hard to play in any level of play. So beginner, intermediate, high level, competitive level, it's a struggle, right? But if you can climb that mountain, which is a very advanced game plan and very high execution demands, you have a flawless character. The only problem Jin has is that on certain tools, he lacks a bit of reach. So here we can mention his jab, we can mention his down forward 1, his standing 2, which ties into 2-4, his 10 frame punish, a little bit on forward 3. But does that matter? No, because I have electric, I have forward 4, I have demon pull. And I don't think anyone here with a straight face is gonna say that forward 4 has range problems, or demon pull, or electric, or his one of the best pokes in the game, back to 1. So Jin is flawless. Jin has some of the best combos. He has huge damage. Some of the best frames. Ridiculous 50-50. Some of the best pokes. He has the best parry in the game. But some people think Geese has the best parry. No, it's Jin. Jin's parry is almost safe. It has a few frames where you can hit him, but he can block pretty much instantly. And if he parries the right move, he launches you with can. His parry is broken, to be honest. Yeah, he can do everything. Forward 4 is one of the best moves in the game, easily. It's busted. His forward 4 is broken. Infinite reach, mid counter hit launcher, super fast, has a built-in mix-up on block where you can Zen 1-2. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why is he hard to play with such tools? I believe I just explained it. He has a complicated game plan and he has very high execution demands. So next up is Marduk, one of my favorite characters and an unbelievably cheap character. If this was a cheese tier list, he would be at the top 10, make no mistake. He is unbelievably cheap. So Marduk is to me like super Kazuya. They share a little bit the same game plan in that they really start when they've knocked down the opponent. Kazuya relies on knockdowns to make his 50-50 vortex safe-ish, or to really brute force it. He will knock you down rather than try and have you guess, you know, in the neutral, due to how Kazuya is very vulnerable when he engages that 50-50, because it's basically 20 frames with no evasion. Marduk also wants to knock you down, but the thing here is that Marduk is not threatening you with a 50-50 when he knocks you down. He's threatening you with a 10-way mix-up. Because when you tech roll there, if you don't tech roll, he'll kill you. If you tech roll, he'll kill you. If you tech roll, he'll either do a tackle. I'm not even going to go into how bullshit that tackle is. Or he's going to do a 1 throw, or he's going to do a 2 throw, or he's going to do a 1-2 throw, or he's going to do a hell sweep, or he's going to do a mid launcher, or he's going to do an unblockable, or he's going to do a counter hit launching mid that is only -2 on block. Absolutely brain dead and overpowered Oki. Best Oki in the game, best comeback potential in the game. He can make 1,000 mistakes, but if you leave him with 1 HP, you're not in the lead, by the way. He can kill you with 1 hit. 1 counter hit and you can die. His rage drive is completely broken in my opinion. Even if he removed 10 damage on it, it remains OP. Should scale in a combo. I don't know why it doesn't. Even on block, it's super good, forcing a 50-50. A little bit sluggish to get started, but has an unbelievable neutral with homing, counter hits that do unbelievable damage. As one of the best whiff punishers in the game in his down forward 1, it's ridiculously good. His countered game is super strong. His sidestep is not the best, but he has a very strong backdash. A lot of people forget that. He has a very good backdash. I think that kind of sums up Marduk. So in essence, this is the way they've decided to balance him. Marduk is a little bit sluggish to get going. When he does an attack, it's usually a couple of frames longer startup than most characters. And when his attacks are blocked, he pretty much gives up his turn every time. For the most part, he's not -2 to -5. He's like -7 to -9. So a little bit sluggish. But the trade-off to the TEKKEN developers is that, well, when he does land his attack, the opponent should die because he's sluggish. That's the trade-off. So next up is Bryan, and this one is interesting because Bryan is a character I've also put at like top 11 to 12 before, but I feel like I've underestimated him a little bit, and I think that all of the buffs have certainly paid off. So Bryan, and again, the character is up there when the player is unbelievably good. So for example, if you've seen me play Bryan, Jimmy, Low High, it's basically, oh look, so if you're good enough, this character has a 28 frame mid unblockable launcher, because that's what it looks like when Low High plays that character. He never misses a taunt-jet upper. So, you know, fuck only doing taunt-jet upper at the wall. Low high, he'll dash into your face, taunt jet upper. If you ever try to guard, dash in, taunt jet upper, every time. So again, if you're good enough, 28 frame unblockable mid launcher. If you're good enough to make that a reality, that alone is like, it's so stupid, it's unbelievable. But it doesn't end there. Unbelievable damage, unbelievable wall travel, super strong. Has arguably the best counter hit game. I don't know, it's like, if he's not the best, he's like top 2. But I think he's probably number 1 with the counter hits. Half his, I actually counted this, I think he has like 28 counter hit launchers. 28. Any button he does, if it counter hits, there's a good chance you're going up in the air. Like almost on anything he does. It's like, oh, counter hit, oh, I'm airborne. Figures, it's Bryan. Super good pressure, super good frames. As a counter hit launcher, you know, forward free, that it can be +2 on. So again, very fast mid counter hit launcher that's +2 on block. +2 on block. And you know, 3-4, unbelievably good. His orbital, if you do it defensively, you jump up, unbelievably good. Some of the best homing in the game, some of the best space control in the game. He controls horizontal movement with reach, like 3-4, and he controls the depth as well with Mach kick, down forward 4. So much tracking. Yeah, and can you know, jet upper. If you're -14, he can launch you. He used to have a problem in that, okay, really good space control, right? You don't want to step him, but that's not a problem because he doesn't really have a 50-50, so I'll just stand guard. Well, they certainly fixed that when they buffed the hatchet like, what, 5 times? And now it does an enormous amount of damage. And on counter hit, for some reason, gives him down 3-4-2 for 50 damage into Vortex. I don't know why they did that, and they also buffed his punishment. Used to struggle a bit with that, but they gave him a 12 frame standing and 4 free into +2 or +4, and they gave him 13 frame full crouching and one of the most damaging of its type in the game in full crouch down for 2-1. And of course at the wall he can threaten you with back 4, which is -10 on block, but most people and most characters just can't punish that because the pushback is so big. If he blocks a sweep, he fisherman slams for half your health without a wall for some reason. If he catches you back turned, he 3-3-2s in your back and kills you. He has one of the best rage drives in the game. Unbelievably oppressive at the wall. As one of the best round enders in the game in forward 1-4, which is an unseeable, unblockable mid. Arguably the best round ender in the game. Basically the king of him and Julia of, I just did an attack and yeah, I'm -7, that's right, you could reclaim your turn, but it has a counter hit launching follow-up, so you never know when you can press. Some people refer to this as fake pressure, but it's pretty real pressure. Yeah, I don't see him being outside of top 10. Bryan is insanely strong. Alright, so next up is Alisa, a character you mostly see Cuddlecore play. What an incredible player, by the way. And you also see Chanel play her, also an incredible player. The only problem with super all-round, super strong. The only problem here, I'm gonna mention it straight away, is that a little bit clunky combos in my opinion. A little bit lower on the damage, with or without wall. Should be noted that she has one of the worst wall combos in the game. A lot of people don't know this, but she does very little damage when it comes to splatting someone on a wall and then doing the wall combo. Not very good. Yeah, combos overall and damage, not so high. Everything else, in my opinion, is like cranked up to 11. Some of the best movement in the game. Like Zafina does have better movement, but Alisa is like almost right next to Zafina. Unbelievably strong poking. unbelievably strong, like, mix-ups, 50-50. It's like her full crouch mix-up of full crouch, down for 1-2. That's a pretty busted low, in my opinion. Mixes that with while standing 1+2 into a perfect mix-up, pretty much. And you'll see Color Core throw that like 50 times per round. So super strong poking, super strong mix-ups. Punishment is insanely strong. Insanely strong punishment. Very good strings. Very good BS bullshit. A little bit like Zafina there as well, where she's allowed very labby, gimmicky mix-ups with chainsaw stuff. But the poking really, like down forward 4, down forward 1, down back 3, down 4. Back 1. Sorry, back 1. Unbelievable mid. And it's funny because I talk here about Alisa, and I realize that most of you probably have no clue what I'm talking about because it's a character people never discuss. Yeah, it should be noted that I don't know how much it serves a purpose in a tier list, but her rage art is arguably the best, considering how tight the punishment window is. But her rage drive, though, should be noted as one of the best in the game, and again, a lot of people don't know this. It's just, you know, a mid-launcher with insane reach, insane speed, insane frames. You know, it's very, very good. But yeah, Alisa, and she's so simple to use. So simple. So it's so good in tournaments. But that's why in tournaments, you know how strong this guy is and this guy, but you don't see them in tournaments because they are so batshit crazy difficult to play. It's like, oh my god, I'm having an off day, as you do sometimes. It's just not working, right? You can't do that in tournaments. You can't have off days with Bryan and Jin. You lose. But it's very hard to have an off day with Feng Wei, Zafina, and Alisa. Because it's the inverse of execution. There's not... Wow, I'm almost done with the top 10. Beautiful. So, to close out the top 10, I have Paul. And Paul is... Paul gets a lot of flack. People think he's very cheap. They say, oh, 50-50 mixes Demo Man with Death Fist. If you do that against a really good player, you're going to get punished heavily. It doesn't really work. That's not really how he's meant to be played. And he's a bit trickier than you think because he basically relies on single hit counter hits. It's like Joey Fury, he loves playing Paul, he loves playing Marduk. And they're a little bit similar there in that they'll do a single hit counter hit, But it's not a lot of strings or that type of stuff with these characters. So some of the best counter hits in the game. Has one of the best moves in the game and is down for 2, which is one of the best counter hits / keep out. Anything really. There's never really a bad time to throw his down for 2. Yeah, super dumb busted attack. Has I mean, yeah, he does single hits, but it's very amazing. Counter it back to 1 million damage, knockdown mid, wall splat. Has some of the best lows to mix that with, which is not Demo Man, but it's Quarter Circle forward 3, which is an evasive, infinite reach, infinite tracking low that's only -14, but if it counter hits, it can launch you with instant while standing 3-2. If he wants to keep it simple, he'll go Demo Man, but trust me, there are Pauls out there who hit that pretty much every time. I believe Luffy and Nee have hit that almost every time. That low is broken. He has other amazing lows. Sidestep 3, which for some reason gives back 1-2 at the wall, and he just died, and it's -12. Back 4 is an amazing low. He has some decent poking in standing 3, down for 1 into back sway. Did I say his damage is super high? Did I say he has a cancelable rage art for some reason into 1 million damage? His punishment is super strong. He has a 14 frame standing launcher in back 3, albeit bad reach, but that's still pretty good. His 12 frame is back 1-2, which is super strong. A really oppressive Hammer of the Gods, forward 1+2. His back sway 4, quarter circle back 4, is a +1 on block, 17 frames fast, super long reach, homing counter hit launcher. He has some of the best counter hits in the game, again, and many of those are homing, like up back 2. Very oppressive at the wall, has a disgusting 50-50 with Demo Man if he wants to risk it, but still at the wall, it's ridiculous. Has a complete throw game, 1-2, 1+2, which will give good Oki, those options. More evasive than you think, for some reason. Way more evasive than you think, with many different options. Yeah. I mean, lacks a 10 frame punish. He does 1-2, and the jab doesn't have too much reach, but yeah, Paul is pretty fucking perfect. He's very, very good. My boy Paul. I really like him. Rage Art Launcher. Well, I did actually mention that, Sayo Sifo. But thank you. So, that was the top 10. And I think that's a quite reasonable explanation of them. So we're gonna start the top 20, and we're going to start that one with Leo Klissen. Unbelievably all-round character. Disgusting 50-50 due to having a homing hell sweep that has some evasiveness for some reason. The first hit of that hell sweep is a counter hit launcher, should you not add the second hit. Can mix that with down forward 3, which is also a kind of perfect attack. It's a long-range knockdown mid that's homing and is, of course, safe on block. Ultra strong down for 2 with insane reach. That launches crouchers, but is -12 as a trade-off, but still super strong. Due to... You have no idea how much reach that has. Super strong punishment, super strong counter hits, a ton of evasiveness with the box stance. Ridiculous counter hits. That rage drive, by the way, is very underrated. What's the speed? 13 frames? Like 13 frames? Super long reach, gigantic frames. Ridiculous, frankly. Bok options are ridiculous. Homing natural hit launcher. Safe mid launcher. Unbelievable damage. Wall combo does 28 into absurd Oki. I mean, I'm trying to think of a weakness. Range problems on certain moves. Has very strong movement, by the way, Leo. This is really good at whiff punishing with that down for 2. Yeah, back 1-4, which is not a counter hit launcher anymore, but it's basically mid into take the mix up. It's a very strong string. Is there anything else I want to say about Leo? No one knows anything about Leo. It's a character a lot of people find boring. But yeah, make no mistake, very, very strong. Can you put mouse cursor on the character you talk about? Yeah, I can. So, next character I'm going to talk about is Martial Law. Insanely all-round. I think Law and Paul are really good beginner characters because they teach you Tekken. They're very beginner-friendly in that you get a sense of every aspect in the game. And it's also a character you can grow with because their final potential, especially with Law, takes a long time to acquire. So you can really grow with that character. Yeah, again, like some of the best counter hits. In forward 1+2, which is a plus frame move on block. Launches on counter hit for ridiculous damage. His damage is really good if you have the execution. And if you have the execution, you are allowed some of the best frames in the game. But it's very hard to get there. And this is because a lot of his attacks can be cancelled into DSS, which is a stance where he has a multitude of attacks. And most of his key moves will be cancelable into this. So for example, if you see an incredible low player, you'll note like Gosane from the UK, he can do while standing 4, counter hit, DSS into 3+4/4 to launch the opponent for absurd damage. So again, if you master DSS, you have some of the craziest frames in the game, some of the craziest pressure in the game. He has arguably the best Magic 4 in the game, 11 frame counter hit launcher. He has really good, solid fundamental tools, like a very strong down for 2 that tracks well to both sides. Has good, great reach. It's only -7 on block. His poking is super good. Character defining for low as well is having the best. I mean, I was gonna say whiff punisher, but block punisher as well. One of the best punishers in the game. In 3+4/4. This is a 14 frame, very long reach launcher, natural hit. So if he blocks anything that's -14, even with decent pushback, he'll launch you. And there's no execution. He just presses 3+4, and that's it. And if you whiff anything against a decent low player, 3+4. It really is one of the best punishers in the game. If not the best, to be honest. It's a perfect move, perfect punisher. Oh, and his base control is also absurd. Like, if you want to try and step that character, like his back 4 homing, his back 3 homing. Yeah, ridiculous. So an incredibly strong character, but you just don't see very often due to the amount of execution that goes into him if you really want to make him shine. It's a little bit like, okay, he's extremely all-round, he has amazing counter hits, oh my god, what's not to like? Well, much less work required, right? And they'll do the same job, you know, pretty much as well as Law, but they'll probably have more damage doing it. I don't know why they nerfed his wall combo. He used to have one of the most damaging wall combos, and then they nerfed it. And in my opinion, he deserved a very damaging wall combo due to the execution required and how his... he doesn't hit that hard when he doesn't get a wall. But a very interesting character. I do like Law. So I'm gonna grab some water. So, that brings me to Steve Fox, who is one of the most complicated characters to play, and one of the most unorthodox due to he doesn't kick when he presses 3-4. He does sways or ducks. It's basically stances. Unbelievably interesting character, and one day I'm going to do a video on him where I cover all of these interesting aspects. He's like a work of art to me, Steve Fox. And he's really, really strong if a player is very good. But he's been hit with a lot of nerfs. But the reason I put him right here and not like maybe here is because he's so heavily affected by the current meta. Meta right now is basically these two. Maybe these as well, right? You saw Tekken World Tour. And maybe you'll see this guy once in a while and her once in a while. But yeah, make no mistake, current meta is Zafina and Feng Wei, and they completely obliterate Steve. Obliterate him. He's very weak to characters who can advance onto him while being evasive, while beating highs and sometimes beating mids. And these two are gods at doing that. So, you know, Steve, you know, you've seen me play Steve, you know, with exceptional timing, fall back, back one, right? That's no use against Feng Wei and Zafina. They close the gap like this, and they do it while being very evasive and having crazy counter hit properties, so you wouldn't even want to take the risk. And his launching punch parry, say no more. I mean, Marduk is also really bad for Steve. Really bad. Like, his down 1-2, evasive, and then mid shoulder launcher, mid, can't punish it. He has to be like point blank in Steve's face for Steve to be able to hit with a 2-1. But no Marduk is going to place it at that range. So he's he's countered by Marduk as well, unfortunately. So it's a very tough meta right now for Steve, which is why, you know, like 2 years ago, you saw him a lot, because he was actually really strong against Hwoarang, who was the meta at that time. But when Hwoarang got nerfed, you didn't really need the Steve counter, and Steve, current meta destroys Steve. So that's why you don't see him too much, and which is why I'm placing him here. But again, he's still super good. He still has a ton of good matchups, like for example Mishima's, he obliterates them. His back one is insane. I mean, he also pretty much, you know, best counter hit character in the game. If he's not the best, he's like top 2, top 3. But, you know, arguably the best. Back one is ridiculous. Down for 2 is pretty ridiculous. He has insane pressure. His 1-to-1 is ridiculous into its mix-ups, how safe it is, the tracking on that. His wall pressure is absurd. He has extremely good wall pressure. He has one of the best wall combos in the game. In 4-to-1 machine gun or Gatling, does 27 damage, gives decent Oki, it can resplat them on the wall. Really great frames, but struggles a little bit with the lows. If he wants to mix you with a 50-50, he has to get super close to get the stomp. Down back 3-2. But yeah, it's just sheer amount of mix-ups, the sheer pressure of a character, the frames, and the counter hit utility. I mean, that's basically Steve. But again, he's pretty hard countered by current meta. Meta. Wait, it's meta. I'm still learning this word. I always want to say meta, as in beta male, but I know it's meta. It's different. English. So I think that summarizes Steve rather well, in my opinion. Yeah, his punishment is rather weak. But it's an interesting trade-off with Steve, in that he's unbelievably safe, right? Opponent doesn't really get to punish Steve, but the trade-off is that he doesn't really get to punish either. His punishment is weak. So in turn, opponent is allowed to play more unsafe. It's like Negan launching Power Crush, right? But that has to be minus 15, right? That's ridiculous. Long range mid, launching Power Crush? I mean, are you kidding me? So that should be launch punishable at minus 15, while Steve can't launch it. So Negan in that matchup, oh, Steve, you like pressing, like, right? You like pressure? Well, here's my launching Power Crush, but you can't launch because you're playing Steve. So it's, you know, there's very interesting things going on there. I am Fake Boy. Hello, by the way. It's great to see you, my friend. Well, he does get 40 damage plus Oki. Yes, he does. But there's a pretty big distinction between 40 damage and Oki compared to, you know, potential launch, potential wall, 100 damage into Oki. And Oki at the wall, where if you guess wrong, you get wall splattered and you die. You know, there's a big distinction. Sorry. Okay, so next character I'm going to put on the list is Katarina. And this one is also interesting because this is a character I've been underrating like crazy, but to be honest, so has everyone. I think last tier list, I think I put her like... I mean, what? Did I put her bottom 10 or something? But then I started playing her myself like months ago, and she's incredibly strong and insanely cheap. You need 10 IQ to play this character, and I don't mean to be offensive when I say that. It's just that she is completely brain dead. She's completely brain dead. I don't think I've ever played an easier character, to be honest. I feel like a dirtbag when I play her. And again, I don't mean to be offensive. Katarina players out there, I don't hate you. It's just a matter of fact. You know, it's a bit like I say I love Marduk, but I do stress that he's incredibly cheap and he's overtuned. So one must be able to be honest about these things. And Katarina is arguably the most brain-dead character in the game. And she has ridiculous options. But I do want to stress first that, again, people don't know this, but she has some of the best combos in the game. She has insane wall travel from any launch, be it a hop kick or a magic 4, and she does a ton of damage. Like, not only does the combo do a ton of damage, but once you hit the wall, she gets a very easy, I think it's 27 damage. 27 or 28. So forward 3 into up back 4. Insane damage, and then she gets Oki because the up back 4, you know, flips you. That back flip, and it's like, it's ridiculous. She has long legs. She has a lot of reach. Her magic 4 is absolutely crazy. She'll do 4-4-4, and then she goes into Harrier. And in Harrier, she has disgusting options. She has a 1, which is a backhand, where she puts her hand like this. Hey! Ridiculous move. If that counter hits, it gets forward 3, up back 4, like 50 damage. It's super fast, super safe. And I mean, if you duck that, she has mid options to really fuck you up. Safe wall bounce. Her mids are ridiculous. She has a down forward 4 knee, 15 frame. Lars dreams about having this attack, by the way. 15 frame, counter it launching knee, unparryable, safe on block. You have no idea how far away this reaches. You have to try and you have to test it in practice mode just to see how far that reaches. Ridiculous attack. Oh, her down forward 1 is absolutely ridiculous. Super long reach, mid, follow up into Harrier, and tracks okay to both sides. It's like, why? Knockdown, homing mid, and forward 4. Her lows are absolutely ridiculous. She can do full crouch down forward 4, which for some reason is minus 14, even though it does like, I mean, what does it do on a normal hit? 25? And I counter it like 50. It gives like plus, what does it give? Plus 3? Down back 3, knockdown low, but at the wall gives up back 4. Wall splatting command throw, but that's like every new character for some reason these days. One of the best 12 frame punishers in the game in 2-2. Reaches unbelievably far. 1-1 is a good poke into mix up. God, have I missed anything here with Katarina? Oh, back 1-2 is a ridiculously good string. Poke string. Safe. Hop kick. Oh, it can be mentioned that her hop kick is one of the longest reaching in the game and has a built-in mix-up in upward 4 or upward 4-4. Her low poke from Harrier is really strong as well. So you do Harrier down forward 3. Very good. You'll see Gerlanda use that really well. And I counter it. I believe that knocks down into up back 4 as well. Yeah, it's so simple, so strong, so damaging. Yeah, ridiculously solid. Full crouch down forward 4 has been mentioned by me. Stupid low. So now I believe I am at top 15 and my nose is itching like crazy. Should not have done so much coke. So now we are at Claudio. Claudio is basically a god that says, I don't have the best 13 frame check in the game. Like a down forward 1. He doesn't really have, he's like Marduk and Bryan. He doesn't have a classic down forward 1 that's like -1 on block, -2. 13 frame check. I don't have that, so I should have super perfect, flawless attacks when it comes to everything else. So it's a little bit like Heihachi to me, Heihachi syndrome with Claudio, and that the mids and the highs are so unbelievably dumb that he shouldn't have lows. And this is how they balanced him in Season 1. They were like, don't give him lows, because these mids and these highs are the craziest we've ever put in a Tekken game. Because when he does his mid, back 1, he screams like an anime character, back 1. What happens when he presses back 1? Okay, so he gets a super fast, long range mid that is homing knocks down and wall splats, does chunky damage, and screws opponents who are jumping. And if opponent blocks it, pooh, he's -5, and Claudio does a ballerina spin, backstep, into -5 with a step away from the opponent. That move is like, I don't know, best mid in the game? I don't know. Well, if it's not the best one, I mean, it's up there. You know, you want to talk about Jin's forward 4 as well. Maybe Heihachi's forward 3. God created back 1. That's actually... That's a really good point. God created that attack. So back 1. And then he has wall running 2. Superman punch. That is what? +7, I believe, on block. Does 1,000,000 damage. Knocks down. Very fast. Oh, at the wall. That's a fun mix-up, by the way. When you're standing at the wall and he does Superman and you block it. And he gets like +23. +23. So you're like, I better duck this shit. Oh, back 1. Kaboom. Wall splat. You're dead. And if you block the back 1, by the way, if you block the back 1, -5 into backstep. If you block the Superman, oh, I'm -23. Does this sound fair to anyone? Oh, and speaking of wall, he has a down forward 3 kick. Safe mid with great reach. And how fast is it? It's super fast. If someone could give me the frame on that, would be great. He does that, and now if it's blocked, he doesn't do anything. It's like no. If it hits, hit confirmable, adds a 1, wall splat, 1,000,000 damage. Nice. Oh, you know how I mentioned like they used to balance? It's 14 frames. Yeah, I was gonna say it's faster than 15. And then, you know how they said in season 1, oh, that Superman is too good. That back 1, too good. Don't give him lows. It's a bit like Heihachi. And then for some reason, a few years later, sidestep 4 should do 1,000,000 damage and be -12 on block and knock down on counter hit for 45 damage. And I'm just standing there like, what? Why? Oh, and longest reaching hop kick in the game, literally. So amazing whiff punish, amazing 15 frame punisher. Has a decent poke and back free, unparryable. It's a knee where you can add a counter hit launching follow up and back free. That's what, -12 on block? -13. Decent enough combos. Some of the best wall pressure in the game. I mean, it's broken. When he's at the wall, it's broken, literally. He's almost up there with like Akuma levels of stupid. Or Bryan. Oh, and Starburst, by the way, is there as well. You know how select moves on hit will transition him into Starburst. And he gets these safe mid launchers. He gets these pressure tools into like +9 on block. He gets down to 2 low launcher. He gets access to an ultra damaging wall combo. He has very long reach. He's a very tall guy. He's got a long reach on legs and punches. Yeah, I believe I've covered Claudio now. Super good. The only reason I don't put him higher is due to that lack of the classic down forward 1, and maybe a little bit predictable in his approach. But the pilot of a player has to be unpredictable with few attacks. So it's a little bit like Kazuya, where it becomes almost like timing based, rather than, you know, knowledge checky, trick based, mix up based. It's more like when does he attack. But super strong. Leroy is a fun one to me because he's a character where so many people after the latest balance patch were like, he's bottom 10. And I'm not joking. Like, they said this. He's bottom 10. He's bottom 20. He's useless. Leroy is dead. And I'm like, I don't know, are we talking about the same character? Are we talking about Leroy, who if he lands on orbital, like which is like any other orbital, like safe on block, mid launcher with decent reach, like if he lands that, he gets without the wall like what, 73 damage. And if he gets a wall, he has a wall combo which Shikurin lands every time. It's not difficult. You do Hermit, forward 4 orbital into ground pound. That combo does 33. The wall combo does 33 damage. So I'm just trying to stress, like, damage alone, people forget this, but damage alone on Leroy, absolutely ridiculous. So what does he mix up this orbital with? Oh, he has a homing hell sweep. That has more reach than Kazuya's. And no execution. Granted, Kazuya's gives Oki, but I think it's a little bit unfair in these games to have mix-ups where you can only take a guess. That's all you can do. And now someone is inevitably going to comment on my YouTube saying, well, I can only guess against Kazuya. No, that's where legacy characters like Kazuya have built in nuance into their mix-up, in that, okay, if I want to cover the 50-50 options, forward 3 and hell sweep, I step to the left. And I can now beat this mix-up. And Kazuya, if he predicts this, can go for a homing instead to shut this down while standing 2. But the trade-off, he's minus 18 on block on that one. Instead of forward 3, which is the safe option. This is known as nuance, right? There are different options both players can take to cover different things. Whereas here comes Tekken 7 and modern Tekken, and we have Leroy where if he does a hell sweep or back 4, which is a super long range homing mid that's +5 on hit, and safe on block, by the way, of course, as everything is these days, all you can do is take a goddamn guess. Because both options are homing, the mid and the low, and they both have a ton of reach, and all you can do is take a guess. There's no built-in nuance here and like, okay, I'll do this to cover both options. It's like, nope. So already it's like this is what I really dislike about Leroy. I mean, I like playing him to quite an extent, but it's like he's so unbelievably oppressive. Unbelievably oppressive character. Where he has a million strings and checks on you. Like, and a really strong down for the one where he can add follow-ups all the time. Almost every string on the character, the hits are delayable. Like, you know, it's just, you're getting bombarded by a million strings, a million pokes, a million checks, and you never know when you can press. And on top of that, on like 5 attacks, he's got a built-in parry if you try to do anything. Or he does an orbital, which beats your low and you're dead. Or you try like, I'm gonna sidestep while he has a homing hell sweep. And he has a 50-50 where I just explained, it's take a fucking guess. Because you can't step it and you can't backdash it. So it's just take a guess. And he has a pimp cane. If it hits, 1 billion damage. You can look at Shikurin at Tekken World Tour. He hits that a ton. Where does he place it? He's very sneaky with it. He doesn't use it immediately because, you know, you don't want to show your hand. That's a card you play, you know, at the exact right moment where people forget about it. And you'll see people, they're a couple of meters away from Shikurin and they're backdashing. Like, I'm going to create space. And that's when you'll see Shikurin goes, check out my pimp cane. And he connects it in the middle of a backdash and it's boom, 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 boom. And it does 35 damage on its own. And the combo there does like 80. If he gets the wall, it's like what, 110? 115? It's ridiculous. And if it wasn't for Feng Wei, he would have the best lows in the game. Homing hell sweep. Sidestep 4, minus 12 low, super fast, chunky, counter hit, 2-2, 50 guaranteed. Down 2 is what, 15 frame fast, super fast low, where he goes down on your feet, like, with a lot of evasion. Super good low to have. He has one of the best initiation lows as well. You'll see Shikurin use this a lot. It's down back 4. He immediately goes down really low, And there's a long reach low, only minus 14 on, super good reach, only minus 14 on block, but on counter hit knocks down into a pickup for 50 damage. And down free 2. How do I forget about this one? Hwoarang style down free 4, you know, down free 2, natural into huge frames, into Hermit mix-ups. Hermit stance has disgusting options. His back 2 parry is disgusting. Free frame startup, ridiculous parry, to be honest. He can parry anything. His punishment is really good. Man, have I missed anything on Leroy? I mean, has a demon paw, has everything, to be honest. Has a +1 on block, wall bounce, up for 2. So yeah, it's like, Leroy is dead. Leroy's bottom 10. Like, my ass he is. My ass. Okay, so that's Leroy. Next one is Spanish man. Miguel. Miguel is a super strong, also on all-round character. Was recently buffed in his Savage stance, which you access by pressing 3-4. And that, which is also immediately cancelable. So you know how Hwoarang, it takes a while for him to access his stance moves, because when he does a motion switch to do a backlash, he has to commit to a few frames of that transition before he can use a stance attack. So that's a big problem. Whereas Miguel, it's a bit like Steve, where as soon as you press the stance, you have a 1-frame conversion. So he has access to his Savage stance basically from neutral. Like, immediate. A lot of people forget that, but that's a really good thing to have. But the latest patch gave him Savage, up for 3, safe counter hit mid launcher. Super fast. Super good. I don't know, ridiculous 50-50, you know, with his low. Savage down back 3. If you've ever played against a decent Miguel, you know how oppressive this is, how unbelievably damaging it is. How you don't want to try and interrupt him because of up forward 3. His punishment is really good with the recent forward to 1. +10, 12 frame. Can go into Savage. If he doesn't go into Savage, he still has a +10. Super long range magic 4. Savage 2 is an amazing mid. I consider it, I mean, arguably one of the best mids in the game. So damaging, wall splat, safe. I love his wall bounce, power crush, and back 4. Only minus 14 on block. Has a decent enough downward 1 mix up with downward 1-1, downward 1-2 counter hit. God, what else do I want to mention with Miguel? Oh, a combination of short reach, which you'll sometimes have with his jab, and long reach, like forward 4. As a poking tool. He has an 11 frame counter hit launcher in back 1, which should be mentioned. Oh, his hop kick has a ton of reach, and he has really good movement. Should be mentioned. But damaging combos. Good pokes. Good mix-ups. But again, like, very oppressive in Savage. Very oppressive. Savage 2 almost broken. Yeah, but yeah, very, very all-round, very strong character. Yeah, up forward 1, yeah, he's Superman punch. Ridiculous frames on block. And knocks down a normal hit. But I don't think I have to stress Miguel much more than that. I think that's satisfactory. So next character I'm going to talk about is Kunimitsu. And it's a little bit DLC syndrome with her as well. Like Zafina, they get released and they have, for some reason, better movement than everyone else. Well, Alisa is also a culprit here. And Lily. Like, unbelievably strong movement. Like, when she's backdashing, stepping, she has a tiny hitbox. That's always good to have in competitive play, where players have amazing movement. And just like Zafina, she has a very strong down for 2 to complement the movement. Oh god, I hit my keyboard. So make someone whiff, launch them with down for 2. Ultra spammy character can go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Crazy strings, mix-ups, opponent better know the matchup or they get blown up. Really good counter hits, really good mids, disgusting full crouch mix-up with an infinite reach sweep that gives a guaranteed forward for 2 into Oki. Has a ridiculous mix-up from Set, where she presses forward 3, dashes into your face, has a safe counter hit launcher with a 2 button here. Has a big ol' sweep, which is super annoying. Good damage. Very tricky unblockables. One of the best power crushes in the game in back 2, it is, right? Back 2. Which is pretty much a perfect attack. It did get nerfed, but it's ridiculous. Her parry is strong, albeit counterable by doing a jab. But also had quite the presence in Tekken World Tour. But yeah, very, very oppressive character, very in your face, very spammy, but has certainly solid enough fundamental tools. And the kunai setups are pretty ridiculous as well. Like anytime she knocks you down, she has a lot of attacks where if you quick stand, she gets a guaranteed kunai in your back. Should be noted. That stuff is pretty disgusting. Right, so now I'm going to move on to Heihachi, who is one of my favorite characters, and also an interesting one because I've underrated him so much. I used to believe he was kind of useless, like super high execution, but has no lows, fundamentally doesn't work as a character because he doesn't have a 50-50. He doesn't have any lows. But again, I've learned a lot lately, and he to me is the best Mishima if you do not count Jin. If you count Jin, it goes Jin, Heihachi, Devil Jin, Kazuya, and that's what I'm going to explain today, why I see it this way. And I did actually make a video on the topic if anyone wants to see that. I think I posted it like 2 months ago. But so what makes Heihachi so strong now, and why is he better than Devil Jin and Kazuya? Well, first off, he actually has a 50-50. I used to think his hell sweep was bad, but is his hell sweep really bad? Is it? It's got decent reach, unseeable, like a hell sweep is, and compared, in contrast to Kazuya's and Devil Jin's, Heihachi's hell sweep is pretty much homing. Tracks very well to both sides. On normal hit, it's +8. That is a ridiculous amount of plus frames. And this is, of course, carefully selected, that amount of frames, because it makes it so that his forward 3, which is 18 frames, will trade here with a jab or a dick jab. And when that trades, you're getting counter hit launched, and it's 1 million damage. Heihachi hurts quite a bit. And the hell sweep also is a counter hit launcher, right? If you do a single hell sweep and it's on counter hit, you can pick up with an electric, and it's, you know, 70 plus damage. Oh, and you can also, it also has a mix-up, right, on hit, where you can add a second hell sweep to launch. It turns into a 50-50, right, on hit, or you can do a tsunami. And if you do the tsunami, it's now -14 on block. If he does hell sweep, dual axe kick, right, the axe kicks, -14, used to be launch punishable. Is this a bad low? Is this a bad low? That's not at all a bad low. So yeah, hell sweep is good enough. But the real reason he's this strong is I underestimated how much it does to buff the reach of his jab. Because that guy has a 1-1-2. Flash punch that wall splats. What happens when you give that jab more reach? He has amazing reach now on his jab. So if you're ever close to a wall, he has a 1-1 hit confirmable fucking wall splat with insane reach. Just 1-1. Oh, I hit. Add 2. Wall splat. Wall combo. Or is down forward 1? We increased the reach of that as well. Is down forward 1. Ridiculous. Forward 3. Ridiculous mid. Super long reach. 18 frame. Knockdown mid that gives a guaranteed demon uppercut into Oki. Tracks to both sides. -2 on block. Setting up his punch parry or a 1+2 or whatever. Ridiculous. Demon uppercut. If you go against a character who can't punish that, you know, it's like how Joka, you know, plays. Why do you think he picks Heihachi against Akuma? Akuma can't punish that. So he'll just go demon uppercut, because you can't even fucking step it anymore. Because for some reason, demon uppercut should track really well to both sides, to the point of where it can actually hit people who are standing behind Heihachi. And forward 4 is like a god mid. Hunting Hawk is incredible. He has really good damage. His punishment is strong. I mean, electric. Yeah, no, Heihachi is really, really strong. A really strong character. Before I move on to the next characters, anything else I want to say about Heihachi? If you want to use a low that's not non-launch punishable, you use down back 4, -13. Oh, and he also a very evasive 75-year-old in full crouch while standing 2, safe counter hit launcher, that is super evasive. And I do want to stress, you know, launching punch parry is very good. And one of the best rage drives in the game. Also, I've been underestimating it. His 1 back 2, 1+2, the jab rage drive. I mean, when you stop and think about it, like, how ridiculously good is it? It's a 10 frame startup. 10 frame counter hit launcher that does Kazuya perfect electric damage. And is, what, +7 on block. Like this, take a moment to take that in. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh, it's +9, is it? Oh, and it is monstrous damage. I mean, if he's in rage and he launches you, you know, and he does combo into back to 1+2 spike into stomp, 1 billion damage. All right, so next character I'm going to talk about is Negan. Very underrated, has mostly been played by Ni a bit in tournaments, and then also by Avaisani. Plays mains Akuma obviously, but as a backup Negan. Again, super easy character, super all-round, has a very strong jab, very strong tracking down forward 1. A bit like Noctis, is allowed like infinite reach due to having Lucille, his bat. So he has a super long range down forward 2. Super long range attacks in general, like back 1+2. Sidestep 2 is a safe high launcher with insane reach. Really good poking. Down back 4 is an amazing low, in my opinion. -13 long reach, +3 on hit. Sets up his shove. The counter hit property on down back 4 is very fun as well, you know, where the character is thrown to the side and you have to take a 50-50, but does a ton of damage. Really good counter hit properties. Intimidation stance is a very interesting, super mix-uppy stance where he has a backlash, just like Hwoarang's but faster. He has a backlash, launcher, unbreakable throw, super plus frame mid option in Intimidation 2. He has class 1 like Skyrocket launcher, mid. He has a super good low in down 2 in Intimidation. God, I feel I'm missing something. He has so many options from Intimidation. Oh, a built-in low parry as soon as he's in Intimidation, just like Anna's stance. Very good. Some of the best punishment in the game, in my opinion. If he blocks a low, he has a very long reach, 12 frame, while standing 1-2, which does like 32 damage, I think, or 33, and gives like +6. It's absolutely ridiculous. And standing, you know, 10 frame is 1-2-4, 30 damage, +1. He has, I mean, his 15 frame has infinite reach. He has a 13 frame Punisher and 1+2, which does almost 40, I think. No, wait, it does like 33, something like that. Yeah, but it's like ton of reach, ton of options, really strong counter hit. His combo damage is really, really high. His wall travel is great. The consistency on his combos is almost unmatched. He can launch you from behind and still do his staple, basically. Good Oki. I don't know, like, Negan is very, very solid. I don't know why more people don't play him. Yeah, he's incredibly easy and reliable. It's a bit like Katarina. Very easy, very reliable. And a cool character. And I like his rage drive, like the utility of it. He has 3 different options. But alright, that was Negan. And I'm gonna have some water. Alright, so next up is Master Raven. Again, a character a lot of people don't know anything about. Very tricky character to fight against. Has these wacky teleports and crazy strings. Has a ton of launching lows, so pretty crazy 50-50s. But again, these 50-50s are very unsafe, so she's gambling with her life. But she has disgusting 50-50 utility. Her damage is monstrous, super damaging combos, super long wall travel, and just like Leroy, 30+ damage wall combo. Super devastating. Poking utility is really, really strong. Most famously known for her down back 2, which is a mid elbow with super long reach. It's a crazy mid poke where she can go into back turn, and she can also add a second hit to it, which is a high. But it's an unbelievably strong mid check into mix up. Poking utility overall is really good. Her keep out is crazy. If she backs away, she has core circle forward 4, which is a very long range mid launcher, evasive and fast, where when she does it, she backs away again automatically, as it's very hard to punish, if not impossible. Super hard. Strong punishment. I mean, I've mentioned poking is strong. Her free. She has a very decent down forward 1. 10 frame counter hit, confirmable in 1-1-4. Man, what else do I want to mention with Master Raven? It's a shame more people don't play her. She's definitely one of the cooler female characters, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you don't keep it to like her basic poking, a bit risky to play. And I would have put her higher on this list, by the way, if it wasn't for the nerfs she got in the recent balance patch. She used to have an unbelievably stupid power crush, but they nerfed it quite a bit. It used to knock down into a guaranteed stomp follow-up, but now it leaves them standing instead. So that was a major nerf. But thank God they did that. It was so stupid. But yeah, quite all around, good pokes, heavy 50-50s, good strings, but monstrous damage. So, you know, solid character. So next up is Lee. And this is a character, it's funny to me, I used to say he was top 10. I was like, oh my god, he can't do anything. And he has some of the best punishment, some of the best counter hit utility. You know, his magic 4, his down 3, down for 2, back 4, 1+2. It just, standing 2, 2-2-3. It never ends with Lee. It's an endless list of insane counter hits, and you're like, wow, this is the best in the game. But you know, if anyone leaves themselves at -10, which is a lot of attacks, I mean, -10 is not that unsafe, but it is against Lee. Acid Rain into Blazing Kick. That does like, what, 47 damage? 47 damage at -10, no meter. So some of the best keep out, you know. Back 4, Magic 4, down 4-2. Has good enough poking. You just can't press into Lee. He just blows you up. And his Power Crush, his down 3. If you press into Lee, I don't know how many characters are better. He blows you the fuck up. You cannot press into him. But so why is he here? Because his block punishment is also good, right? Like his 15 frame launcher, Acid Storm, super long reach. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is execution, right? How reliable he is. But again, like you put these guys here, they are also super high execution. He's also got super good keep out and counter it. So what's the problem? The problem is breaking a turtle. The big problem for Lee is breaking a turtle. And this is what I've noticed when I've played him. It's like, if you turtle against this guy, it's like, check out my hatchet. 50-50 utility. Like, hatchet is disgusting. And you know, 28 frame unblockable launcher. Oh, you're turtling. Check out my throw game. 1-2, 1+2. Check out my hell sweep. Right? Mix up utility. This guy doesn't have a throw game. Has 1+2, normal command throw, right? Forward. So quite telegraphed if you don't do it immediately. And then 50-50. What do we have? Well, we have a slide, right? We do have a slide, which does 22. Sorry.
I never played Tekken seriously. I played with friends as a kid, but never did more than...
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna pause the alerts. I'm trying to make a point here, but thanks for a donation. So with Lee, again, you're trying to break a turtle. What do you have? You have a slide that does 22 on its own. And here you can choose to add the get up low kick, and it adds up to 30 damage, but now they slide away from you and resets into a neutral. You're suddenly not in a position of advantage. 30 damage resets into neutral, and it's like, okay, that's fine. Or I take the 22 damage, and I can get up right next to them, and I can continue some form of pressure, right? It's okay. But the problem comes in that, what do we mix this up with, right? He'll mix up with a forward 3. He can mix up with an orbital, or back 1, whatever, right? This guy, it's like, you don't have that safe mid-launcher. You just don't. So what do the lead players mix up with? Well, they do, in my opinion, very underwhelming while stunning 2 mix-up. Where it's either while stunning 2 free, and they get a guaranteed forward 3 for like 50-ish damage. If it's blocked, Lee leaves himself at -13. Or they go for the safe option, which is while stunning 2 4, but again, it's like safe option. Only on block, because it's mid-high, and now the second kick, the second hit can be ducked. And you can get, you know, while stunning launched. And the payoff here, if that connects, you know, while stunning 2 4, it's like you get good frames, but you only get like 30 damage. So this is the big problem with Lee. It's too hard to break a strong defensive player. To me, it's hell on earth trying to break a strong defensive player with him, due to the lack of mix-up utility. He is too reliant on his game plan in that, press into me. I'm unstoppable if you press into me. But a really strong player will do that with great mix-ups, great timing. Struggles so much to break a solid turtle. And again, I guess that's a fair trade-off. And it also has to be mentioned, he has some of the highest execution requirements in the game. Everything is so difficult to do. Acid Rain is so difficult. Back 2 loops are difficult. Down 3, back 3 pickup is like super difficult. Even something as basic as forward 4 into pickup is difficult. It's just overall really difficult to play. And then to me, it's so fun to compare him to Paul. Because I'm like, very similar in a way. And like, you don't want to press into Lee, right? As I mentioned before. But I'm like, you certainly don't want to press into Paul either. Because all he needs is down for 2. You're not going to fucking press into that, right? Or his quarter circle back 4. He certainly has disgusting keep out, right? Just like Lee. And his block punish is also strong. His combo is also strong. His damage is high. And the combos are certainly simpler than Lee's, right? But then when you you know, counter hit utility, you know how good he is with counter hits. And you know how good he is with counter hits. He also has a fucking low that counter hit launches, right? But his is launch punishable and his is minus 14. Albeit his is slower to come out due to the input. But then, when you contrast these two characters and like, okay, we need to break a turtle. They're not pressing into us, right? We can't use our counter hit. We need to break a defensive player. He's got a fucking throw game. 1, 2, 1 plus 2. What's his 50-50? Oh, I don't know. He has either a quarter circle back 2, safe chunky mid, right? Or he'll do his jumping knee that does 50 damage on hit. Safe on block. Minus 9. Does he have lows? Meaty lows? Oh, he's got a demo, man. So, when I contrast these two, I'm like, he's perhaps even nuttier in the keep out and the counter department. But he's not far off. But when it comes to breaking a turtle, he is far away from Lee. Far away from Lee. So it's just it's an interesting contrast and analysis to make, in my opinion, like just contrasting Lee to Paul. So now we are at, I'm pretty happy with how this has progressed so far. I'm almost halfway and I'm at 1 hour, 36 minutes. And we've done some decent explanations so far, I think. I think every character so far has had their moment. So now we are at Noctis, who is also, this is a bit, you know, the modern Tekken phenomenon where if they add a character, they are just unbelievably easy. Unbelievably easy. And there's not a whole lot to his game plan. It's 50-50 with a ton of reach, super long range attacks, so you don't have to worry too much about, do I have good movement or not, or have to worry about, oh, my opponent had a lot of pushback on his attack. Doesn't matter because you're using swords, just like Negan, or, you know, Katarina, Claudio. Everything just hits so far away. But a very, very basic character who relies on counter hits. Forward 1+2, very strong homing counter hit launcher, safe. His down for 2 is the longest reaching 15 frame launcher in the game. It has infinite reach. I think there's not a single attack you can block in this game that's like minus 15, 16, but he can't launch with down for 2. So opponent has to be very, very aware of that. And he has a 13 frame safe counter hit launcher in upward 1, which is incredibly strong. It has strong frames on block as well, I think. He has a decent enough parry. He has decent enough poking. Down back 1+2 is a really good string. 50-50 utility is great with Emo Man, which has deceptively long range, his Emo Man. Really high combo damage, should be noted. A lot of people forget about that. Has a strong full crouch mix-up in full crouch down for 2, which is a great low. Can mix this with full crouch down for 1, which is a knockdown shoulder that's safe on block. Really good. His while running 1+2 is a ridiculous mid launcher that is plus 11 on block and tracks to both sides. I love that move, by the way. No, I kind of hate it. Aura is really good in certain matchups. Down back 1+2. Very good string in 2-2, which is a very high vertical hitbox, making him a really solid anti-Akuma character. Because 2-2 is a really good poke to do at any time. 2-2, 2-2, can add 2 highs. No, he can go 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, you know, it's a 5-hit string. Or he can do 2-2, forward 2, counter hit launcher. So 2-2 is it's really good. And when your game plan is throwing 2-2, 2-2-2, 2, and it's got a huge vertical hitbox, and anytime Akuma tries to jump, he gets floated out of it, and that third hit forward 2 is a screw. So yeah, it's a natural, pretty decent counter to Akuma. As one of the best Oki enders in a combo in post screw forward 4 when he kicks them into the air, backflip kaboom, gives ridiculous Oki. Has a forward 2 projectile, should be noted. God, what else do I want to mention about Noctis? I think that's about it. He has an orbital, yeah. So, now I'm on Nina. It's a character I've also been... Oh, I'm gonna have some water first. So, I'm now on Nina. Also a character I've been underrating. Question is if it can be motivated to put her even higher on this list. Because she is really, really good. So down back 2 is an attack she has, which is pretty much perfect. So correct me if I'm wrong. Super long range mid, knockdown, counter it launcher, homing, -5 on block. I think I got that correct. Ridiculous. Down for 1+2. Oi, oi! Ridiculous mid. Yeah, I'm not going to explain every move here. Okay, it has an orbital. Has down back 3 for low poke. Really good. Has sidestep 4 for low poke. I think it's only -14 on block, and it's a counter hit launcher. Really good sidestep 4. Really good sweep. And good frames on normal hit. As a down forward 1-2, which is a mid-high that jails on block, and what this means is that if you block the mid, which you kind of have to, right? It's a mid. If you block that one, you can't duck the high. You automatically guard both hits. So that's pretty ridiculous. Forward 3 is a dual kick. Super plus on block. Counter hit launcher, normal hit, gives a guaranteed follow-up. Very hard to whiff punish. Back to 2 is 12 frame homing. Yeah, I can't mention every attack. She has so many great attacks. Back 4 is her like toe kick, I think. But on counter it gives a guaranteed up forward 2-1 for like Kazuya perfect electric damage. And that back 4 is safe on block, I believe. She has poison breath, you know, that purple breath. After she was in cryo sleep. That if the opponent doesn't react quickly and hold down on hit, she gets a guaranteed launch. She gets guaranteed damage either way, because if you know they're going to hold down, you stomp on them instead. Super strong wall travel, super strong combo damage. Great rage drive. God, what else do I want to mention about Nina? Oh, her unseeable low sweep that gives guaranteed follow-up, wipe the floor. Has a throw game, has chain throws. I mean, it's... she has ridiculous stuff. Ridiculous stuff. Counter hit launcher sweep. I mentioned that. Sidestep 4. Oh, wait. She mixes sidestep 4 with sidestep 1+2. Which is what? Also launches? Yeah, it's a mid-safe launcher. Nina is ridiculous. I mean, she has high execution demands. You could motivate her being higher. I do want to stress as well that if we talk about like beginner and intermediate play, she's like up here. But we're not. We're talking about maximum output, like maximum efficiency, highest level of play. But she's one of the best like beginner stompers. Even intermediate players get blown up by her strings because you have to be so on point with your defense. Like the low parries and the ducks and the steps. Everything has to be on point. Otherwise she blows you up with her basic strings. But she's very strong. She's very strong. Right, so now I'm on King, which is... He's the most mid on this list, I guess, together with Devil Jin. And who was a character I at first was like... I've played him a lot lately, and I was like, man, he's top 20. But the more I look at these characters, the more I'm like, okay, King is very solid and great in many ways, but he's not top 20. But he's super good. It's like the characters here are super good. That's how balanced this game is. You shouldn't look at this like, oh god, mid-tier, you know, he doesn't shine a lot, not very good. It's like, no. Very, very strong. But it's just that the top 10s are ridiculous. And I hope they get nerfed. But so King, just as strong Oki as Marduk. It's ridiculous. It's just that his Oki is a little bit more setup heavy. You have to be a little smarter. Whereas here it's just like drooling Mongoloid. You know, it's so easy to apply his Oki. It's so brain dead. But King's is just as strong. It's just that you have to be a little bit more on the ball when you play him. Best throw game by far. It's not even close. It's ridiculous. His chain throws are ridiculous. They do too much damage. They're too hard to break. His 50-50 throw game is insane in that, you know, he'll do a throw and you can't tell what the break is. You gotta take a guess. It's a 50-50. He has that with his chain throws. You can't tell. You can only take a guess. So in terms of throws, chain throw, Oki, he's ridiculous. But just like Lil Majin will do once in a while, you don't even need that stuff. He's so buffed in Tekken 7. Like his normals, his normal Tekken is so strong. Back one, 12 frame countered launcher. Punishment is super strong. Forward 4 is an amazing safe. Homing mid, knockdown. I think it's 17 frames in speed. His down for 1 check is really strong with a follow up. His down for 2 gut check. Counter hit, Twitch counter hit confirmable into burning knuckle. That's more than half of your health, by the way, and has a lot of those types of tech roll setups. A bit like Yoshi, these Xiaoyu. Like, people don't get this, but like King is just as tricky in these weird, quirky setups as Yoshi is or Xiaoyu. Very setup heavy character, which makes him very interesting. There's a lot of interesting things going on with King. And he has forward 3, which is a safe mid, but on normal hit gives 50 damage because it converts into a DDT that gives ridiculous Oki, as everything does with King. He almost can't knock you down without getting ridiculous Oki. All of his throws do the same. Oki, Oki, Oki. It's ridiculous, to be honest. It's so strong. Great low and down 3, +1 on hit. Great low and forward neutral 2, only -14. Countered property, 50 damage. He has his shove is one of the best mid checks in the game. Forward neutral 1+2. Comes out at 12 frames. Is what neutral on block and on counter hit gives a guaranteed forward to 1 or back 3 into Hulk Hogan leg drop into Oki. Or at the wall, it's the best. Counter hit, and he gets 1+2/1 wall bounce into half your health. Combo damage is not the best, but it's completely compensated by the fact that you'll end with a Shining Wizard into Oki. Forward 1 is a perfect attack. It's a super long reach, -5 on block, counter hit launching mid, that screws. Sidestep 2 is a super evasive high launcher that's safe on block. Yeah, this character has a lot going on, and his block punishment is very strong. King is very, very good. I love that everyone is reminding me of back one when it's the first tool I mentioned. But thanks, guys. And now we are at Devil Jin. And this can also be seen as a controversial take. But he doesn't shine that much anymore, in my opinion. The removal of back to 1 led us to have to do laser scraper again on the wall. And that's a damage difference of 10. So you go from 27, and better Oki by the way, to 17 damage. Another problem is that if you end a combo with 4-3-4, which happens very often, and plant them on the wall, you can't really dash in, cancel the dash, and do a laser cannon. What you will do is 1-2 back 4. And now you're down to 14 damage. Albeit into Oki. But it's certainly interesting to note that if you're playing Julia, or if you're playing Leo, or if you're playing Katarina or Leroy, you'll get 28 damage plus into Oki. So they neutered his damage. And they not only neutered that damage, they made it so that obviously upward 4 doesn't knock down anymore. So now you no longer have a power mid 50-50 option that's safe. You will commit to while standing 2, and now you're suddenly minus 12. And the while standing 2 damage, the damage doesn't really add up here either, because he's not allowed to screw here. So you'll do while standing 2 electric into a basic combo that will do around 60 damage. And then you'll probably get the wall, but again the wall damage is low. Devil Jin has taken a very, very heavy hit to his damage, and he's taken a very heavy hit to his 50-50. The Hell Sweep is still great, but again, the damage, it's just that back to one nerf is a shadow nerf to everything about the character. His Hell Sweep is not as strong anymore because the Hell Sweep never did that much damage. He always relied on putting you on the wall with that Hell Sweep to get back to 1. But that's gone now. His Hell Sweep is not as impressive anymore. He used to do 67 damage, and now you're down to like 53. It just doesn't add up anymore. And losing the safe damaging mid option. So now it's like Demon Paw. While standing 2, CD3 is too slow. That's reactable. Damage-wise and 50-50 wise, it just doesn't add up. But he still remains a strong character, obviously, due to being so all-around. Very strong jab, very strong down forward 1. Everything is good. Punishment is good. Laser cannon is a great string. He still has a very strong electric. He has easy mode punishment in that if he steps anything, or if he blocks anything that's minus 15, he doesn't have to do an electric like Kazuya. He can do can, which is a great thing to have. So he has a lot of good tools. It's just that it simply does not add up for me anymore, his damage. Or his lack of power mid. Lack of damage, lack of power mid. So it just doesn't add up, in my opinion. Heihachi is a stronger character, and Jin certainly outshines Devil Jin by quite the margin, in my opinion. So next up is Jakku. So this is a character I've also been underrating quite a bit. Very strong backdash, super long reach, everything hits a mile away, amazing frames, can at any time do a fucking safe low poke? Are you kidding me? Safe on block, but gives great frames. How is that bad? That's super good. Has a down for 2 that hits from, you know, the other side of the stage. Has jackhammer, you know, super good mid. 50 damage. I mean, we just gave you an easy follow-up, so you no longer have to do a just frame megaton punch. You just do down for 1+2. As a complete throw game, 1-2, 1+2. Doesn't have a jab, you know, but has a 10 frame counter it, you know, knockdown into big boot. Forward, forward, forward. What, 50 damage from a 10 frame counter it? How's that bad? And better damage output than he's credited for, especially at the wall. God, what else do I want to mention with Jack? He's such a basic character. Oh, I mean, debugger should be mentioned. That's a good low. You know, most people don't know that at the wall, you know, it gives a guaranteed while standing for shoulder, which is very good. I did mention his throws. Are you guys listening to me? Yeah. I like my rich man laugh. I mean, he's a very basic character, but you can make so much out of his reach, I think. I think his pokes are too good. Like, that full crouch down back one, what? One of the best lows in the game, for sure. Forward 3 is a good mid as well. Good down forward one check. He has so much reach, guys. He has so much reach, and his backdash is so strong. When you see Anakin play him, like, that amount of reach combined with that backdash, it's insane. And launching throw. Has a launching throw. Super good. Okay, so now I am at Bob. God, Bob is so boring. I'm like, I want to talk about Bob. He likes cheeseburgers. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, Bob mains, but god damn, is he boring. Okay, so extremely all-round, amazing tools when it comes to pretty much everything, but with the drawback that he doesn't really have a 15-frame launcher. He does have upward 4, which is a 15-frame high that instantly screws, but leads to low damage, and also has the problem of being a high. It's quite often, you know, something, I'm minus 15, but I'm recovering crouching. You can't really, oh well, then he would do while standing. No. I'm recovering crouching, but Bob is not. So he can't do while standing 2-1, which is a 14-frame launcher, right? Yeah. Great point by me there. As a ridiculous power crush in forward 1+2. Ridiculous 50-50. His house sweep is pretty much homing. Great pokes, great strings, great damage. His wall combo does what? 28? Or is it more? Ridiculous wall combo. Has a launching throw. Can wave dash for some reason, although cheeseburger, so he has wave dash mix-ups. Great reach. He's a big guy. God, what am I missing with Bob? Great tits. Oh, sorry. He does have great tits. So next up is Kazumi. Kazumi is an incredibly clean character. I think they introduced her as a Mishima alternative for people who don't want to devote their entire lives to execution. So she doesn't have a wave dash, she doesn't have an electric, but instead she has warrior stance where she flies. So you don't do a CD. You press forward 3-4, she flies, she can do a hell sweep, she can do a mid. She has a launching axe kick, forward 4 instead of forward 3. She has 1-1-2 flash punch. She's got a great jab. She's got a great down forward 1. Her fundamental tools are amazing, including back 2. She has a down back 4. Her magic 4 is great. She's got a magic 4. She's got really strong movement. She's got a wall splatting throw. Great rage drive. Her down forward 1 has a follow-up down forward 1-2. Arguably the most famous down forward 1 follow-up in the game. It's like Heihachi's down forward 1-2. Good wall travel, good wall damage, tiger gimmicks, good power crushes, good strings. Yeah, poking is just really, really good overall. Does have a problem that relies on hop kick to launch minus 15, and her hop kick is the worst, has the worst reach in the entire game. No hop kick has less of a hitbox, so it's terrible. And her while standing launcher is 18 frames, which is also a problem. So you want a hop kick at minus 15, but again it has no range. could possibly be her biggest problem. But yeah, really good, really fundamental. If you're interested, check out Ulsan. Best Ulsan. Best Kazumi in the world. Alright, so now we are at Hwoarang, and this is a character that's done well in tournaments. I can certainly envision some players saying, he should be more here. And you know, that's an opinion, but I also feel like, who cares? This game is so balanced, like who cares if you put Hwoarang here or here? It's not like there's a massive difference between these characters, right? It's such a balanced game these days. So Hwoarang, super oppressive frames when he gets started. Super oppressive frames when he's wailing in your face. And there's a very strong down for 2 for keep out. You can't whiff anything. He'll do back 3 to launch you from like any range. It's so good. And then he'll run in and do down 3-4. And that's basically how Hwoarang players play these days. If you watch the best Hwoarang players, they play either wrestler, they run in, he has a full throw game for some reason. They'll run in and do 1, 2 or 1+2, they'll throw. All they will, with movement, make you whiff something and do back 3. Or they'll fall back and spam down for 2 to counter hit launch you coming in. Or they will run in your face and do down 3-4 into ridiculous 50-50. And that's pretty much it. So the drawbacks for Hwoarang is that his approach tools are kind of bad. You have while running free for frames and knockdown, you have 4-4-4 Peacemaker to go in with a knockdown mid, or you run in with a low like down back 3, down 3-4. The problem with all of that stuff is that it has no tracking. It's completely linear. If your opponent does a 1 pixel sidestep, they're at your butt cheeks, they're in your back. So the approach tools are problematic. And yeah, of course, yeah, down 3-4, you mix that up with Just Frame Skyrocket from mid, super damaging, safe mid launcher. But that's pretty much Hwoarang. And down 3-4 is ridiculous. Even if you call him out on it, you duck it. If you try and do a while standing launcher, he can interrupt you with forward 4-4. Counter it, launch you. Or you can do a power crush. Down 3-4 is ridiculous. And if it connects, blap, blap, he's at plus 13, plus 14. And now you have to respect him. And he has a devastating mid launcher that's minus 10, or he does a hell sweep. And to me, down 3-4 is unfair. And I don't know how beginners handle that move. It's just impossible to counter if you're a beginner. Hwoarang has never been more brain dead than he is in Tekken 7. Yeah, backlash is also uncounterable by a beginner. Uncounterable. Backlash is ridiculous, and I hope it's not in Tekken 8 in its current state, and I hope his down 3-4 doesn't transition into Tekken 8 in its current state. But he certainly has drawbacks in the highest level of play, and it's mostly about being linear, very linear, bad approach tools. And a lot of his moves being locked behind stands. But he has very high damage as well. Backlash recovery is so fast. Yeah, it's +4 on block, and on whiff I think it recovers faster than on electric. I think it's almost jab levels of recovery. It's ridiculous. So next up is Ganryu. King of Cheese, least played character in the game, basically no one knows the matchup. Has range problems, that's basically him, but if he gets close enough, he has some of the craziest frames. Downward 3 is an incredible low. Downward 1 into extensions and mix-ups. Downward 1+2 is a hit confirmable string. His down for 2 is crazy. It's a natural mid launcher with follow-ups, so it's -12 on paper, but again, he can do jab follow-ups. He's got a throw game, he's got high damage, some of the cheesiest gimmicks in the game, like unblockable from stance, that's super evasive. It will beat mids, and then he wall splats you from... It's like a rage drive, basically. His backswing blow that puts you in back turn, and people don't know the matchup, so they eat 2-1-2 in the back. That's a 50-50 by the way afterwards. It's 2-1-2 or down for 2. But most people will eat the max damage option and you just die. Yeah, Cheese Lord, but has his drawbacks in that he has a lot of range problems. And no one wants to... His biggest problem is that no one wants to play him, to be honest. So next up is Eliza, who is, I think, by far the weakest 2D character, but still solid. You shouldn't see this as being very low on this list. Again, it's a very balanced game. Has some of the Akuma craziness in, oh, I have a bar of meter, I can run in and do a crazy 50-50. It's just that her stuff is just so unimpressive compared to Akuma. It's Akuma light in the best sense of the word light. It's like nowhere near the output. And she also has super high execution requirements. Like super high. So yeah, I wonder who I'm gonna play, Eliza or Akuma. But she has a super cheap bullshit. Where she has a super cheesy 10 hit. She's got a super cheesy 10 frame capital punishment. She's got a super cheap snake edge where she jumps into the air and then goes down and sweeps, and it's like so many crazy stupid gimmicks that, yeah, I mean, if you were to play in like beginner level of play or intermediate, you'll smoke everyone with her. She'll be easier than Akuma. It's just that if you go to Evo, I wouldn't see why you would play her above Akuma. But also has the EXDP, stupidity, is very oppressive at the wall with meter, where she has, you know, unseeable 50 damage, wall splat, that's only -12 on block. Mixes that with a homing safe mid, wall splat, blah, 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 blah. Has a 14 frame counter at launching mid in back 1-2, which is very solid. Yeah. Oh, and dive kick bullshit. I mean, you know the name of the game. Jab or dick jab into dive kick. Dick jab, dive kick, dick jab, dive kick. You've probably been pressured by this. So gimmicky, stupidity, but has potential as well when played seriously. Yes. Oh, and has the 2D jump. The really stupid 2D jump. Oh my god, and I feel like I failed to mention that on Geese. I was very quick in covering Geese because I took so long with Akuma. But again, like, his 2D jump is so broken. The 2D jumps don't work. They just don't work. If you don't have anti-airs, you know, why? So now we are at Anna, you know, coin flip the character. Unseeable low launcher, unseeable mid launcher, take a fucking guess. 1 million damage, devastating damage. But compared to Akuma, there's no execution. But compared to Akuma, she's constantly gambling with her life. If I get this 50-50, you die. If I don't get the 50-50, I die. With him, it's if I get the 50-50, you die. If you get the 50-50, I get +7. That's the name of the game. So yeah, Anna gambles with her life. Has some interesting... I mean, she gambles with her life when she does her basic low poke. That's also launch punishable. Unbelievably unsafe character, but unbelievably damaging. And has a lot of gimmicky shit I could get into, but that stuff isn't really relevant to highest level of play. And now we are on Armor King, who I think has received significant buffs to where I wouldn't mind someone arguing he's higher on a tier list. Again, these are all opinions. I can certainly see someone placing him higher. Forward neutral 2 is a ridiculous low to have. But I personally believe it never solved his biggest problem, which is his mids. He can never really scare someone from being a few steps away ducking. Or step ducking, backdash duck. He can never really scare anyone too much as someone is doing that. His mids are sluggish and they don't do enough damage. I really wish his down forward 1+2, his homing knockdown mid, if that gave like a guaranteed follow-up, that would be beautiful. He's not threatening enough in the mid department. But obviously he has a strong throw game, has way above average combo damage, excels at whiff punishing with dark upper, shoulder, forward 2-1. Block punish leaves a little bit to wish for when it comes to while standing in particular. Standing is not too great either. Hop kick for 15. Or a, perfectly executed dark upper. Back one is a really good counter hit tool, 12 frame. It's got a chunky hitbox. But not too threatening in the mid department, unfortunately. If someone tries to step him, which you want to do against throws, that's the weakness on the throws, you step. And here you can do, forward 3 with him, which is a natural hit, high homing that launches, a normal hit. But the problem is when someone starts doing, which is an advanced defensive strategy. It's like, okay, Armor King's coming in, step duck. I feel like in this scenario, he just isn't too threatening. That beats the throw, it beats forward 3. And then, yeah, what will you do? You'll do down forward 2 or something, but I don't know. Or down forward 1+2, but it's just never threatening enough, in my opinion. So yeah, I know there are some people these days who feel Armor King is stronger than King, but I personally don't see it at all. At all, I find King to be significantly stronger than Armor King. So now I'm at Kazuya. we're at my main now, 2 hours and 12 minutes in. And this is, of course, where I think people will maybe be a bit immature and pubescent and say, oh my god, you're downplaying your main, which, I also feel a lot of people who make tier lists do. But just to be completely fair to me, I would just like to stress that, for the last few years, how many years are we into this game now? 5? I've always put Kazuya here, right? So I know you guys are going to write stuff like that, but I feel it's a little bit unfair to say that I've constantly been underrating my own character, because I feel I've been overrating him for a very, very long time. I believe on my latest tier list, I put him like top 12, 11, 12, 13, something like that. But so what happened? Why is he all the way down here? And I explained this in a video, and I feel like I've just gotten better, to be honest, at Tekken 7. I've learned more about the game. And I realized that this game is about pressure. They reduce the movement. It's less about defensive play. It's about being able to poke. And it's about being able to play a counter hit game, which is low risk, high reward. When you look at the pro play of Tekken, Tekken 7, that's basically how it works. And Kazuya, to me, almost doesn't work as a character. He can't do anything without putting himself at ridiculous risk. So the trademark Kazuya is like forward 3, right? Which is a great mid launcher. It's -3. It's def on width. So 80% of Kazuya's move list basically loses to a basic step to the left. No need to sidewalk. Just step to the left. And that's basically the matchup. Step to the left. So again, Hell Sweep loses to step. Forward 3 loses to step. And this is the basic 50-50. Hell Sweep also loses to blocking it, obviously. So the risk reward isn't really there, right? If people like to stress that Kazuya has a strong 50-50, but to me it's like, well, if that hell sweep is blocked, you know, if I hit that hell sweep, I get 32 damage, I think exactly, into keep up the vortex, right? But if that hell sweep is blocked, I die. I'm literally dead, right? So I just want to contrast this to, here's a launching hell sweep, that's +7 if you have meter. So I'm just trying to contrast legacy Tekken, right, to modern Tekken. And modern Tekken loves homing hell sweeps. Modern Tekken certainly loves homing hell sweeps. That's a modern hell sweep. His hell sweep doesn't have a hitbox towards his if they step to the left. There's no hitbox. And this was to the point of where they were like, oh god, we gotta update our legacy characters, and they buffed his hell sweep in patch 3.30. They were like, Devil Jin and Kazuya, we should have modern hell sweeps. That's the idea of modern Tekken. Hell sweeps are homing because they kill you if they're blocked. But none of us wanted that. I didn't want to see Kazuya with a homing hell sweep because I love that nuance in that you can beat my character by stepping to the left to option select the basic 50-50. But then if I know you're going to step, I'll shut you down with a homing. But frankly, everything is too risky. It's like how Boa plays him. I'll play hell sweep while stunning 2. That's how he mixes up, you know. And you just can't play riskier than that. If they step the hell sweep, you die. If they block the hell sweep, you die. If they block your while stunning 2, you die. You're at -18. I don't know if that move should be -18, frankly. He can't partake in pressure poke Tekken either, because his poking is non-existent. He has jab while standing 4, down forward 4, down forward 1, back 2, all unbelievably underwhelming. It's basically, I'm gonna lose my turn just like Marduk, it's just that I don't have a broken Oki. I don't have super good counter hits. I mean, this is, make no mistake, this is super Kazuya. That's super Saiyan Kazuya right there. It's like, I don't see why anyone would play Kazuya over Marduk. And this guy has like pretty much like the highest execution demands in the game. He's way up there at least. I don't know. It's like, and did you know in Smash? Do you know how they balance Kazuya in Smash? He has these shortcomings, right? You can recognize this identity going into Smash. He's not good with keep out. He has limited reach. So how do they balance him? He has ridiculous damage. Absolutely ridiculous combos and damage. And this used to be the case actually with classic Kazuya in Tag 1 Tekken 5. His stuff would get clean hit damage. Demon God Fist while stunning 2. Down forward 2. Abolishing Fist. Combo damage was ridiculous. Like he hit like a goddamn truck. But the more games after that, the less his damage was ridiculous. The more they removed it. And I'm sitting here with a character, I'm like, shouldn't damage be his thing? He doesn't have poking. His 50-50 compared to like modern 50-50s. I mean, have you seen his 50-50? Side step 4, down forward 3. It's like, or his? It's like, or his? I just love how people tell me like, well, Kazuya is an amazing 50-50. And it's like, it doesn't really. And it's not very unique these days, having a 50-50, right? So, yeah, with Kazuya, I just struggle to think of strengths. Like, he has average combo damage, he has average movement, he has below average poking. He has a good 50-50, don't get me wrong, but it's so risky. And his counter hit utility, down for 2, yeah, -12. The character can't do a single thing without taking a risk. And 20 frame startup without evasion on his 50-50. So you'd rather obviously knock someone down before engaging that. But yeah, I can no longer buy into the idea that Kazuya is a strong character. It is impossible for me. So the days of me putting him here are over. Yeah. Good Oki, but when I compare his Oki to Marduk, it's just... It is just night and day, to be honest. So Kazuya, and again, this is not, you know, super duper bad. This is 30... Is this 35? It's not that bad, to be honest. I think you certainly can say he's, you know, on Armor King level. So yeah, that's Kazuya. And now we are at Shaheen. Very basic character. Boring. Basic Tekken tools. Doesn't shine too much compared to the alternatives that are out there. Has a very solid down forward 2. Hop kick. Slide mix up with an orbital. Resembles a worse Law. I mean, Law is just way better than Shaheen. He has some resemblance to Law. Combo damage is rather low. Wall combo is not very damaging. An interesting poke is while stunning 1. But I don't know. What do you say about Shaheen? I think I've covered Shaheen. That's it. Painfully basic. Not very impressive. Eddy is... this is an interesting one. I've always said he's the worst character in the game. What made me rethink this was talking to UK player Dinosaur. Much respect to him. He's unbelievably knowledgeable on the game. And he just said, frankly, that... How can a character that has a safe mid-launcher with a ton of reach and does a ton of damage be the worst character in the game? You can't. That's a great tool. So that, what move is that? It's forward, forward, 4. It's when he dashes into a huge kick into handstand. And that hits grounded opponents as well, by the way. It's a really good tool. And up forward 4 is like a perfect mid. Super long range knockdown mid that's homing. It's pretty perfect. He has a 13 frame while standing launcher. He's got good damage these days. He's got launching 50-50s. Sidestep 3-4 is an excellent low. Very chunky. Back 3-3 is at what? 13 frame counter with launcher. Back 3-3. He has a safe backswing blow and back 1+2. Sidestep 3-4 is one of the best keep out tools in the game. Yeah, he's not the worst character in the game. So that was a really bad take by me. Yeah. Xiaoyu, queen of evasion, queen of bullshit, queen of setups. I'm so bored. I'm not bored in general, but do I want to talk about this? Oh. And has a lot of other stuff as well. Like 50-50s, has a standing 14 frame launcher in what? Forward, is it forward 3? I think it is. And has a lot of really good other stuff. That's just perfectly explained. Has a really good, a lot of other stuff. And you guys are like, oh, got it. Problems with her is low damage. I think that's the big problem. Low damage on combos and at the wall. But basically, queen of bullshit. I'm just gonna yeah, has some range problems as well. That is true. But queen of bullshit. And relies a bit too much on people playing into her bullshit evasion. If someone really knows her matchup, she struggles. Let's see. Lei. Lei is very, very solid and underrated to the point of where I almost wanted to put him here. I would actually respect someone putting him around here. Lei is like solid. Very strong down for 2. Super good keep out. The forward 3 launcher is crazy. His 50-50 is insane. He has a much better health sweep than Kazuya's. More range. It has evasion compared to Kazuya's. No execution. Gives just as good Oki. Is homing. Yeah. Oh, and you can convert it to a mini juggle for 50 damage. I mean, what's not to like? His health sweep is insane. And he has also a safe mid. Sidestep 4. safe mid launcher. His 50-50 is insane. Or if you want to, you mix with his demon uppercut, which is forward 3 with a built-in mix-up. Back turn or not, or does he add a second hit, a kick? And of course, Razor Rush, bullshit, stands pressure, can lie down on the ground. Decent enough poking with down forward 4, which is super long range, 12 frame mid. His Tiger stance, 50-50 is ridiculous. Decent move. Oh, haha step gives him really good movement. Yeah, he's good. He's good. Lily, much cleaner and more honest than people want to give her credit for. And I might be underrating her here. Some of the best movement in the game, yet again. Forward 4, super long range counter hit launcher, a little bit like Jin's forward 4. Down 1-2 is a huge buff. Natural combo low, into big frames, into back turn. Super good evasion. Good fundamental tools like down forward 3, quarter circle forward 3-4. Her down forward 1 is kind of crap though. And forward 4, no wait, forward 3-4? Is that her counter hit knee launcher? Homing? But she's got really good combos. Insane wall travel, insane damage. Her punishment is incredibly consistent with really good reach. One of the best 12 frame punishers in the game. But I don't know, a little bit sluggish, a little bit vulnerable to sidesteps, or a lot. Commits a lot. Honestly, it's not cheesy enough at high level play, I think. Yeah, the down forward 3 is... Oh, and her down 3 low poke is really good. Yeah, she's slow. She commits a lot. Slow-ish. Very commits a lot. And that's a problem. So next up is Dragunov, who I put in bottom 10. But again, doesn't mean he's useless. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's gonna step you unless you do down 2, which is not a I mean, it's a really good low, but lacks a heavy low option. Lacks a homing mid. I know he has down forward 3-4, but that's just not impressive enough. Quite a bit of work with while running 2. Lacks mids. He has a lot of problems with his mids. They all have high hitboxes. It's a mid with a high hitbox. Good. What else do we want to say about Dragunov? Pretty poor counter hit game. I mean, for a counter hit launcher, you have while running 2, but that's it. That's it. Doesn't have a down forward 2 or down forward 4, you know, counter hit launch, 15 frame. Lack of counter hit utility, lack of knockdown low, lack of homing utility. Has good wall travel, but wall combo is below average. That's a problem. Has a throw game. That's good. 1-2, 1+2 into Oki. Ultimate tackle is interesting. But a little bit too legacy and a little bit too honest. The most power crept character in the game. And got a lot of unfortunate nerfs. While running 2 should track more. Too easy to step it. An interesting buff and strength though is 12 frame wall bounce while standing 1 free. People aren't talking about that enough. It's really good. Yeah. So now we are on Lars. This is also a character some people could rate higher, but the lack of classic 15 frame counter hit mid launcher, big problem for him. His lows are extremely committal and risky. He struggles against people stepping him towards the right. He struggles a lot with that. Doesn't have scary enough options to shut that down. He's very unsafe in general. Strengths are very decent down forward 1. Very good combos. Arguably the best wall travel. 27 damage wall combo is nothing to scoff at. I just don't see why you would play, if you want to win, why you would play him above her. Don't get me wrong, he is way more interesting, and I'm much more inclined to play him. But if you're going to a tournament, I mean, this is where you would go. Yeah. Okay, and now we are at Yoshimitsu, who is... He's not the clown. He's the entire circus. Burn! Clown character that is more solid now these days. Has more fundamental tools than people give him credit for. Flash is stupid. 6-frame launcher. Basically a parry. I mean, the king of bullshit. What am I supposed to say? Like, unblockable this, unblockable that. Oh, you tech rolled, you died. Ba 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 kaboom. Ha, you know. It's a clown show. It's a setup god. Flowcharts and setups. Bullshit. Has some fundamental utility. They did give him forward 1+2, which is now an excellent counter at launching mid. Safe on block. But just, yeah, just lacks more tools like his new forward 1+2. If he goes into a stance, he has a really good low in, what is it, kin forward 2. But it's like, it's from stance, and it relies more on bullshit, you know, than these guys. And if people know the bullshit, you're going to have a problem, right? And competitive players know the bullshit, unfortunately. So Asuka, again, I wouldn't mind someone placing her higher, but it's a little bit, again, a case of you have to play into her game plan. If you try to attack her, she blows you up for free, has ridiculous keep out, a ridiculous parry, really good counter hit utility. It's just that her offensive utility is underwhelming, in my opinion. Has decent enough count, yeah, you know, forward free, down back free it is, right, that low. It's okay, kind of shitty jab, down forward 1. Shitty strings, gimmicky strings. To 50-50, she has to run right into your face. She has to be able to lick your face, by the way. Then she can do a down 1+2 knockdown into forward 2. Or a safe mid launch in 1+2. But it has no range. And it's steppable. So I just find her offense to be very... I don't know, very underwhelming, personally. But I don't know, yeah, some interesting counter hit utility for sure. But yeah, that's Asuka. Cheesy power crush for 1+2. Cheesy unblockable setups. But again, it's gimmicky. It's very European Tekken. Asuka is very European Tekken. Sorry. Old school European Tekken. Trick based, mashy, people mash into me. It worked. But European Tekken these days, I mean, you have guys matching the fundamentals of some of you know, Korean guys and Pakistani guys. So she's just out of European meta in a way. She used to be European meta. This is not me shitting on Fergus, by the way, so I don't want to hear about it. I'm just talking about style of play. Style of play. And Josie. I mean, wishes she was Katarina. My counter hit launcher is 1 frame slower. My VAT is not as much damage. I don't have lows. I mean, frankly, she does have CD free, but again, very committal. No evasion. Slowish. People have to mash into me. Oh, you're not mashing into me? Here's my mix-up. Kaboom, 1 million damage. I mean, probably more solid than I think, but yeah, I don't know. Where would you put her? Where would you put her? You can easily argue the other way. Like, not very good lows. People have to mash into me. I don't know. Yeah, I know some people will say she should be higher, but then comes your problem and you have to explain why is she better than Eddy, why is she better than Armor King, why is she better than Ganryu, why is she better than Hwoarang, King. And yeah, maybe I should put her higher than Asuka. But just to keep this... maybe she should be here, right? Now that I think about it, maybe she should be here. And maybe Lydia as well. But it doesn't make much of a difference to me. Because being here is almost the same as being here. Because these are so close, the tiers. So I'm not going to move anyone. Let's see. Lydia... it's like how people said after that big patch. They said Leroy is dead, this character is dead, this character is dead. It was actually correct, I think, with Lydia and Fakumram. Although maybe, yeah, Lydia is probably, yes. I mean, okay, they are down here, but they're still okay. It's not like a decent Fakumram is not going to be able to blow you the fuck up in rank battle. He's still going to do guard break at the wall and these crazy twister mix-ups from down for one, and he's gonna blow you up because you're not very good at the matchup. You know, that goes for a lot of us. You're still going to eat that shit. But the truth is, these were nerfed like beyond recognition. Oh, you're gonna remove all of his fucking counter hits? Okay. Oh, his free 4 is minus 11? Okay. It's like, I don't know, quite a few of those nerfs. Oh, and everything should be launch punishable, all of his lows. I don't know, it's like, I just don't understand some of the nerfs. But my guess is they were so fed up with hearing, oh, Fakumram meta, meta, that they just, yeah, they really chopped off both of his legs. Patch after patch, they just removed stuff, and he's unrecognizable. But a gigantic problem he has among many, I mean, I've already mentioned quite a few of them, but he doesn't have a sidestep. He has his bottom 5 sidestep, and I can't tell you how much that hurts in a 3D fighter like Tekken. And his attacks are so committal as well, in that he doesn't really high crush doing any of his attacks, and that's why Steve used to blow him up with back 1. His lows, you know, he doesn't really bend down. He always has his back straight. He's a man. But so yeah, problematic. And down for 1 was made minus 5. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not gonna skip out on Lydia. Add a crazy hell sweep, down back 3-2. They removed all the range. It has no range. Gives no Oki anymore. They nerfed her. I mean, justifiably so, but they destroyed her political storm. Went from best string in the game to lackluster. They nerfed her bullshit string, back 3, down 4-1-2. God, what else did they fuck? They nerfed so much. They nerfed her low, down back 2, made it much worse. Sidestep forward. Oh, right, sidestep 4 is no longer a launcher. That was a natural hit launcher, now it just knocks down. It's just unrecognizable. Like, God, I never think of this character. I know I'm missing out on stuff because they nerfed so much. There's so much they removed. Oh, right, yeah, forward 2-4, no longer wall splats. You know how she used to do her stance blue spark? And you blocked that, and it guaranteed 4-2-4 wall splat? They removed that. I mean, no longer can she do that setup, right? But she has a 12 frame Punisher that doesn't knock down. It's like, that's not very good. Yeah, there's just so much stuff they removed. So yeah, it's no wonder I don't think I saw a single Lydia at Tekken World Tour, but I did not watch every match, far from it. But yeah, she certainly took a baseball bat to the knees, and same with fucking Ram. And now we're down to like bottom 4. So lucky Chloe, and again tells you how balanced the game is. Yonding plays her at the highest level, and he makes it work. But it's basically Xiaoyu, but easier. Bullshit evasion. Most bullshitty strings. Relies so much on your opponent, like having skipped out on learning the matchup. There's quite a bit of that. You know, everything is so punishable, but it's like, I hope you don't know the frames. Or I hope I'll catch you off guard with this backswing blow or this hop kick. I think our most solid tools are back 4, safe counter it mid launcher, or sidestep 4, low counter it launcher, but very bad reach on a lot of her tools, like very bad reach. But unbelievably damaging, right? Does insane damage, But yeah, just a lack of really good tools, or good tools in general. Gigas, super huge hitbox, no movement, super clunky to get started, really bad strings. The cheese doesn't work if someone knows the matchup because it's so clunky. Should have a throw game but doesn't. You just press 1+2 and boom, you beat his throw. His down back 2, his go to low is seeable if you have insane reflexes, which Arslan does, by the way, and -14. God, what does he have? He has good reach. He's very basic and easy. I mean, that's it. Yeah, that's Gigas. Yeah, it's 1-2. He's got a great 10 frame punish, and he's got a great 15 frame punish in down 2. And he has an interesting power crush in down 3-4, where he absorbs attacks and can retaliate, but he's pretty trash. Also a character I overrated. I used to put him at solid mid, but he's not. He's bad. Oh, and Kuma and Panda could be better. You could put them over here, depending on how you look at it. But again, like, very gimmicky. They eat gigantic combos. Certain of these characters, like moves that shouldn't be launchers, turn into launchers. Lee can do an infinite on Geese Howard Estate, but who cares about that? That's a detail. But they eat ridiculous combos. Super unsafe. Super committal. I mean, basically has no movement. Yeah. I mean, they rely on gimmicks, but if you know the gimmicks, they just get blown up. Absolutely blown up. And I think Rangchu is a godlike player, but I think some of his success in Tekken World Tour 2018 boiled down to quite a few players not taking these guys seriously. And yeah, I think part of it was that. I'm not trying to rob him of any credit here. He's an incredible player. And if you've seen him play, you know, Julia, he's played Katarina a bit as well, I think. He's done, you know, he does exceptionally well. But I think that's it, and not bad at all. I did this in 2 hours and 43 minutes. Sorry, I'm pretty tired now and my throat hurts quite a bit. But I hope this was satisfactory, and I do want to stress that I tried to give every character like a minute at least, just to really get my thoughts out there. And if someone's watching who doesn't know a whole lot about Tekken, and again, I'm far away from a top player. Like, so far away you could possibly be. But I know something about Tekken, and that's what I'm trying to share here with you guys. So if someone's watching who knows very little about the game, you're very new, I hope you got at least a sense of these characters. Like, what are strengths, what are weaknesses, like some identity, rather than just going to a character and say, well, Paul is really strong because his damage is really high and he can demo man. And that's something I really dislike when I watch, not everyone's tier list, but quite a few people make tier lists like that, where they basically don't give you any idea at all about a character. They just say, well, this is a strong tool. And it's like, okay, but how does that make Paul stronger than Leroy? So yeah, I hope this was interesting. It was a pleasure to record. And we'll see if we get an additional balance patch. And again, it's a very balanced game, so you could throw these around a little bit. But I have to say, I'm happy with this list. I did double check it before recording this, and I was like, oh, you know, this makes sense to me. And yeah, he puts his main really low, but I want to stress that my mains today, it's Kazuya, Geese, Marduk. To be honest, I probably play Geese more than I play Kazuya, right? And I'm not really putting those very low, right? I'm really trying to be honest here, and I'm trying to remove my feelings from the equation. I'm just trying to be rational here. And my rational brain says, incredible, incredible, very unimpressive, doesn't fit Tekken 7. That's just my current rational analysis. Right. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to me. If you did, hopefully it didn't bore you to death. And I hope you all have a lovely day. So thank you.